Behind the mask.
What's happening, my boy?
What's good, family? Another day in paradise. You already know what it is.
It's good to be amongst you today.
Yes, sir.
Because we get a chance to talk some ball.
Let's do it.
NFL ball.
Let's do it.
All right, so we got to talk about the Raiders because, man, it's been pretty bad over there.
Yeah, man. I like to call it a shit show going on right now in Vegas.
A shit show in the Sin City, basically, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders. Raiders move, a whole lot of stuff happened. We don't have time to get all into that. But what we do have time to get inside of is Mark Davis. He said back in March, look, he needs to see progress from the hires that he made. Those hires he was talking about was David Ziegler, GM of the Raiders at that time, and then also Josh McDaniels, head coach. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, he ended up firing both.
Yeah.
They were 25 games in on their tenure as far as GM and head coach. And the reason why he said he went ahead and made the move in the middle part of the season is because he did not see enough progression. In fact, he said he saw regression.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Now, he was enamored by Josh McDaniels, the opportunity, not even the opportunity, but Josh won a lot of Super Bowls with the Patriots, high power offenses. Well, we knew why they had high power offenses.
The Brady
Shout out to Tom Brady. But let's go back a year ago. A year ago when they first got there, they had quarterback Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, running back, and also signed Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller. A year later, earlier this year, Josh McDaniels and Ziegler decided to clean out the locker room. They released David Carr, traded Darren Waller, and also reconstructed the offense, brought in Jimmy G, wide receiver Jacoby Myers, and draft pick Michael Mayer, tight end from Notre Dame. So basically, fast forward up until now, 8 games throughout the season, they drastically underperformed.
Yeah. 3-5.
3-5, points per game, all of that. At the bottom of the league when it came to points per games, total yards per game, and then also yards per play. So the part to where Mr. Davis decided to say, you know what, it's time for me to cut ties. When you're only averaging 15 points per game, and that was the reason why you brought him in, he felt like he saw the regression. They were going backwards. But more importantly, he felt like they didn't know how to fix it. He decided to talk with a few players. Few players gave him some feedback. They didn't feel good about what was going on. So then he decided to ask both of them. Brought up the assistant GM, which was Champ Kelly, brought him now as the GM, and then hired AP, our boy, Antonio Pierce, former NFL legend. Now he's the head coach. And AP came in talking about, like he was a born Raider.
Yeah.
Grew up in Compton, California. He understands what it means, the psyche, the mystique that comes around it, and then the culture of winning. He grew up in that era back in the 80s. So my question to you is, now that we are upon midseason, looking at it, do you think this change, I wouldn't even say justified, but is it really going to change anything?
Man, look, first of all, before we get into that, again, shout out to AP, former teammate with the Giants, man. Happy for him. Happy the fact that he's getting an opportunity to be a head coach in the NFL. Put in his time, put in his work, definitely deserves it. I think the most difficult thing, though, Takeo, is making changes during midseason. Regardless of if you're winning and you have a young quarterback, young quarterback is not performing, or you have head coaches and GMs. I just think, personally, I think it's just too much, because what's the first thing your team does in the beginning of the season? you try or you want to establish an identity,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Good, bad, or indifferent. You want to establish an identity, but it's difficult to make that change. You're taking out the head coach and the GM,
Yep.
but your personnel is the same.
The roster is still the same.
The roster is pretty much still the same. And we're after the trade deadline. So whatever identity you got, love the AP, but unless he picks some people up off the street, you pretty much going to have the same players. Now, we see head coaches get changed all the time in the NFL. Less likely for it to happen mid-season. We saw with Jeff Saturday towards the end of the year, last year, I believe.
Yep.
Got that first win. Former Indianapolis Colt, brought the energy as a former player to the locker room and everything. Everybody was hyped up. Got that first win, but went 1-6. Then we had Steve Wilkes with the Panthers, my former team.
Yep.
Energy galvanized Carolina. Players even wanted him to stay there. Finished 500, which wasn't technically bad because they started off terrible. So they started off real bad. But again, galvanized them. But at the end of the day, you still finished 6-6. Why? Because you got the same personnel. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of think that one of the things we always say is what? Know your personnel.
Know your personnel.
Know who's around you. Know what you're dealing with. You can change the head coach. You can change the GM. But if you got the same personnel, you can expect the same results. It's very difficult in the middle of a season to just up and expect so many different things to happen in a positive way. I want it to happen. Do not get me wrong. I hope AP has success. First year head coach, interim head coach. If he can continue to get that rateaway back that he had, mind you, it was a while ago, but get that rateaway back that he had, what's the best that could possibly happen down the stretch, bro? Finishing 6-3, 5-4. Is that enough to get him extended? I don't know, man. I think it's difficult, man. I think it's difficult, bro.
Your boy's scratching his head over here because it's a tough deal.
Yeah.
It's different perspectives that we can look at this from. You can look at it from the fans. Mm-hmm. You can look at it from former players. You can look at it from just the novice fan who just wants to become more intrigued about the game and they know about the history, but they just don't know about current day. Yeah. Do I see it changing? I don't know. I truthfully can't say that, but I'm gonna tell you what I can relate to and tell you what I can see changing: the inspired play.
Yeah, hands down.
And I go back to the conversation. I wasn't sitting in the room, but if you're Mark Davis, he interviewed several coaches, and he brought Antonio in the room and didn't know much about him, but until he read his resume, he became more intrigued. And so from that, he felt like he was the right coach at the right time for what they're going through. Mm-hmm. And so for me, knowing what I know about Antonio Pierce, knowing what I know about Mark Davis, I think collectively the best that they can do at this time, which will be more appealing to the fans, they got to go out and show some inspired play.
Yeah.
And an inspired play won't necessarily equate to more wins than losses. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're in the entertainment business. Mm-hmm. And when fans come in, you want to make sure that they walk away with some type of hope. Yeah. And with Josh McDaniels, they did not have that hope. Yeah. And the players did not have that hope. You go back and you look at the wide receiver for them, Devontae. Yeah. He was pissed.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, he was pissed, man. Yeah. He was pissed, put his helmet down, and I commend him because I thought his press game, his presser after the game, post game, I thought he was going to completely go off. Yeah. But he was very contrite in what he said, and it was very sincere.
Kept it professional.
He kept it professional. Yeah. And so, for me, when I look at this situation, I think in order to really salvage this season, or for Coach Antonio Pierce to be able to walk away with something like of substance, he has to make inspired play. And the guys have to understand every decision that they're going to make is going to be off of inspired play with hopes of winning, of course. Nobody shows up hoping to just, let's put on a good show and then we'll lose at the end of the day. Not happening. So I think that's the best that he will be able to get out of them.
Here's my thing, man. And we're former players, so we know. We've both been on some terrible teams in the course of our career. But if you are the Raiders or anybody, right, halfway through the season, going into the third quarter of the season, let's say you 3-12, right? 4-11, whatever that might look like. 5-9, it don't matter. If you have that losing record and you know you're not going to the playoffs, as a player, there's a few things that keep you motivated because you know you're not winning. You know there's no postseason play, right? One of the things is like if you're a free agent player, you're like, nah, I'm gonna keep busting my ass, doing my thing out there because it's a contract year. I got an opportunity to show what I have, so the next team, if it's not the same team I'm on, will sign me to the bag, right? If you're a mid-tier player or a younger player, we had the player performance bonus, right, based off of the snaps. So you want to obviously impress the new coach so you can stay out there, do your thing, stay on the field to get some more money in the offseason as well, right? But there's this thing that creeps in, right? We're creatures of habit as athletes.
True.
We're creatures of habits. We like things a certain way. And you know, like I know Takeo, because again, we've been on teams before. Even if you have a new coach, a new coordinator, a new quarterback, if the team goes into that same kind of feeling of, okay, we're meeting that same adversity, right? It's not the warm and fuzzy no more. We're playing, we're giving it our all. But guess what?
Meaning, like, if your quarterback, if we go out with the goals of a game to say, we're not going to turn the football over, we're going to drive the football all the way down the field, we're going to score. And then as soon as your quarterback go out there and he throws a pick
six, the first thing you're going to be is like, damn, here we go again. If you see your running back that, you know is good,
that's human
great,
nature.
like Josh Jacobs, right? He goes out there, busts a 30-yard run, and you on the sideline like, we about to win this game. But then you see the offensive guard, the offensive tackle get called for holding, brings the ball back, no touchdown. Here we go again. If you see the defense gets gashed for 100 yards in the first half, rushing, offensively, we sitting like, damn, it's the same old shit. Here we go again. So how does that not stay in your mind when you already have a culture of losing? And a culture of losing, respectfully, again, I know what AP said, you know what I'm saying? And again, we want him to succeed. But since we were in the league, last time the Raiders made the Super Bowl back in 2002, last time they made the Super Bowl and lost, they had 2 winning seasons, bro. 2 winning seasons. Couple of 500 seasons.
Now, they did go to the playoffs with our guy, Rich.
Yeah, Coach Bisaccia. And what happened after that? Interim head coach did his thing when John Gruden got fired, went into the scandal. Coach, we spoke to him. We spoke to Coach Bisaccia going into the playoffs, right? Remember?
Yeah.
And what happened? They didn't keep him. He galvanized the team. Just like you said, you want to see inspired play. Coach Bisaccia had inspired play with the very same Raiders, right?
Yeah.
Again, it's the personnel. Not only just on the field, but respectfully, if the ownership is not going to commit to that inspired play, then you're going to have the same results. Coach Bisaccia ain't really had no chance to really show what he could do with a full season, off-season training camp. You just hope that AP does his thing down the stretch. And then you know what they say? Instead of we're going to take the interim tag off and actually let you have a full off-season, preseason training camp and everything with the team of your choice. Because, again, it comes down to the personnel. If they don't do that, it's going to be the same Raiders with the same losing record, and it stems from what's going on right now in the middle of the season. You had a quarterback in Carr, got rid of him. Jimmy G got benched. It's like, to me, it's too many different decisions that are being made that are the wrong decisions. So at some point, you got to look and say, okay, who's the decision maker that's not getting it done? Sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror and be like, yo, you can lie to anybody else. You just can't lie to yourself.
Well, and I think you're talking to Coach McDaniels and Ziegler.
Facts.
Because they were the decision makers. And, they had a lot to do with it. Now, what I will say is this. The good thing, even if they do not make the playoffs, we hoping that they do.
Mm-hmm.
AP, Coach Pierce now finally gets a legitimate look. And we know about the problems of minorities not given an opportunity to legitimately interview for jobs.
Yeah,
And so now, if he can come in and do somewhat of the same thing that Coach Bisaccia did a few years ago, how can you not look at him? Because every coach in the NFL knows if you go to the Raiders, it's damn near like how people used to look at Cincinnati back in the 90s.
Yeah.
It's a graveyard.
Yeah.
That's your last stop before heaven. Or depending on how you living, might be hell. So for him, this is an opportunity for him to show galvanized play from players, to show creative play, to be able to make roster moves that can make him look like a genius. Just because a lot of coaches feel like they want to do it, but they don't have the gonads to actually go out there and pull it off. Yeah. And so we'll see what happens. Now, what I will say to this, I went through something like this similar back with the Cincinnati Bengals, the year 2000. Coach Bruce Coslett, he came in. It was my third year. And, we lost it. He didn't come in. Like, we show up on a Wednesday getting ready for practice for the team meeting. We're waiting on Bruce Coslett. 5 minutes go by, and it's like, I want to say it was like 7:30 or something like that. 5 minutes go by, and I'm like, okay, if we're in college, that means we can leave. The professor isn't here. And they was like, settle down, Spikes. Chill. Getting paid a lot of money to be here, sir. So, Coach Dick LeBeau walks in the room, and he was like, hey, guys, I got news for you. I just want to let you know first, I'll be your head coach moving forward. Bruce Coslett won't be here. He's going through some things, but this is what to expect moving forward. Now, the thing that I appreciated about that was it was leadership that was needed. It was credible leadership from somebody who not only sat in the same seats, but also went out and played the game, and now they're a coach. Same thing with Antonio Pierce. Yeah. And so we started that season off, we were 0-3. But when Dick LeBeau came in, we finished the season 4-9. Now, did we go to the playoffs? No. 4-12 season. Add that up for the mathematicians out there, or the lack thereof. But I knew when we were 0-3, and I saw my head coach just decided not to even to talk to us, and he left, I was like, man, if this is what the league is about, who needs a damn soap opera? This is a soap opera. This is drama. But Coach Dick LeBeau came in, man, and he instilled hope. He said, we're going to simplify things, guys. We're not going to throw the ball all the way around the field. What we're good at is what we're good at. He took advantage of Willie Anderson. He took advantage of all of the offensive linemen that we had, Corey Dillon, and we ran the ball. Now, I want to say I might be mistaken, but fact check me. I think I am correct. But I think that was one of the best years that Corey Dillon ever had as a Cincinnati Bengal. Ran for way over 1,200 yards. But to that point, he simplified everything and said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to feed the stars. If we got Darnay Scott, let's find Darnay Scott. If we got Peter Ward, let's put Peter Ward in positions to make him successful. He did all of that, minimized everything, and he took the thinking out, and all we had to do was go out there and play. Mark Duffner, coach was still the defensive coordinator, but Mark Duffner really took over those responsibilities, and we ended up, I can't say it was respectable, but it was inspired play that left the fans with hope.
So you sense the difference with the coaching change?
Oh, no question. Sense the difference with it. And you respond to that.
Yeah, it's a player. Absolutely, you do. And I think, and I'm all for it. I want AP to do well because he has an opportunity to succeed in the NFL. And like you said, to your point, we know how difficult that is for black coaches, just to keep it 100, right? So my thing is that even with that, right, we want to make sure, or we like to think that he has an opportunity to give a healthy sample size of what he can do as a head coach. That's the main thing. You know what I mean? Because if not, you're just putting a Band-Aid on the dam. You know what I mean? Putting your finger in the dike, like Scarface said. You know what I mean? So
but it's like, put flex tape on it.
Shit, I don't know if that's gonna work, but I'm just saying, like, bro, you got to do they have to give Antonio Pierce a chance. If not, it's going to be like how it was when we played. When we didn't make the playoffs, what was some of the fellas doing? You pull up to the game, they got the U-Haul trucks in the parking lot for the last game. Remember that?
I do remember
Moving
that.
companies there. You like, yo, what's going on? Cash is ready to get the hell out of there and go to Cancun on 3. 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
You right.
Right?
Play the last game. You pull up. I actually remember pulling up to the stadium, young pup, and guys had U-Hauls attached to the back of their cars, trucks. And I came in the locker room. I'm like, hey, man, why? I saw several now. I was like, why y'all got U-Hauls? Like, where you going?
Disrespectful sign of giving up ever.
And I didn't know. I'm naive. I'm like, they can't wait to move? I'm just thinking like, I asked them, listen, it ain't no exit meeting. We don't even have a head coach. Yeah. Dick LeBeau won't even be back. They were assuming oftentimes when head coaches get axed during the season, they're not going to hire from within. So it was several guys had their U-Haul packed. They wasn't coming for an exit meeting on that Monday. Yeah. They were hoping not to get hurt, jumping on the highway, driving 12 hours to Florida to the sunshine.
Driving back down south.
Driving to the south.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? So when I look at it, I think it's a glorious opportunity for him.
Yeah.
Hopefully he takes advantage of it, just because you don't get into the game with aspirations of just getting into the league and then I just want to stay where I'm at.
Yeah.
You want to get in it and advance.
Excel.
And so he has that type of ability. As a player, the acumen was on the next level. We shared the same coach. The coach was like, he loved X's and O's. He was able to teach it to other players. And this is as a player. So I think they made a good move. And then I also want to state this as well, too. Mark Davis, the owner, realized he made a mistake by hiring Ziegler and also Coach McDaniels. He felt like he was so in a rush to hire what he thought was good pedigree that came from the Patriots. And so now, if you read between the lines of everything that he said, he's very aware, I'm not in a hurry to rush. Only thing I was in a hurry to rush and do was to make sure I get them up out of here. Yeah. So now I get an opportunity to see how the season develops. I see other winning teams. I can pick and pull and pick the most respected assistants in the game that's going out there putting in the work. And then hopefully they can turn Sin City into a championship city.
Facts. That's how AP's able to do it, man. I love nothing more than to see him have success out there in Vegas, bro.
Yeah, we love former players, period.
That's right. And AP gonna send us some tickets for the game, yo. You know what it is.
The view better not be obstructed. See, I tell you that much.
Stop. You gotta let that go, man.
Oh, I'm just saying.
You gotta let that go.
I'm just saying,
Listen,
bro.
You got bigger fish to fry, bro. Let that go.
All right, AP. We'll take tickets.
Behind the Mask.